Hammer Titans have been around for a long time now, and they still dominate the Titan spectrum of crayons. With the ability to turn off that brand of yours and just bonk away anything in your path, this Titan build is one of the best for soloing dungeons. In today's video, we're going to go over my personal favorite Titan build that allowed me to solo Ghost of the Deep and some other dungeons. Let's get into it. For this build, we will be using the Synthoceps exotic gauntlets for the increase to melee damage when surrounded with the perk Bionic Enhancements. Bionic Enhancements grants the player 50% increased super damage, 200% increased melee damage in PvE, and 50% increased glaive melee damage for 8 seconds after being surrounded by 3+ enemies. It also increases the melee lunge to 7 meters while procced. Starting with the super, Hammer of Soul and Burning Maul are both great options, but I prefer Hammer of Soul for its range attacks and its ability to make sunspots when using the aspect Soul Invictus. For the class ability, either barricade works. For the melee, we want to run Throwing Hammer. Throwing Hammer allows you to throw hammers and pick them back up again. If your hammer hits a target, it grants Cure. Throwing Hammer DPS is actually really good, and when soloing Ghost of the Deep, it's my main source of DPS on the first boss with a 30% Tractor Cannon debuff. It's also an effective ad clear tool, since hammer kills also create sunspots. For the grenade, I run Healing Nade. While we'll be getting restoration and cure from our hammers and sunspots, I like to have an additional source of healing on me in the event things get out of hand. If you feel like healing isn't an issue, solar grenades are another option for you to run, but I prefer healing. First up for aspects, we will be running Roaring Flames. With Roaring Flames, final blows with solar abilities or ignitions increase the damage of your solar abilities up to 3 stacks. Since our ultimate weapon is going to be the Throwing Hammer, we will be consistently at Roaring Flames ×3, dealing a bunch of damage to enemies. For the second aspect, we will be running Soul Invictus, which allows solar ability final blows, Hammer of Soul impacts, and defeated scorched targets to create sunspots. While in a sunspot, you get restoration, your abilities regen faster, and your super drains less while standing in it. Sunspots are basically free healing nades that grant restoration, and with one of our fragments, we will be extending the duration of solar effects like restoration. Starting with our first fragment, Ember of Empyrean. Ember of Empyrean extends the duration of solar effects like Radiance and Restoration on solar final blows. This goes great with sunspots since they give us restoration. We can take that restoration and extend it more. In addition to this, we also have a healing nade to have restoration on the fly and can extend this as well. The next fragment is Ember of Mercy. This is useful for co-op play when you need to revive a teammate, giving you both restoration on that revive, but I actually use this for the secondary effect. When picking up a fire sprite, you get restoration. For me, I want as much healing as I can since I'm focusing on damage with the exotic. Ember of Solace is next. Radiant and restoration effects have extended duration, meaning instead of 10 seconds at max duration, it brings them both up to 12. Just a nice bonus to have, but you can actually put something else in here if you feel like 10 seconds is enough for you. Lastly, we will be running Ember of Torches. Since we are mainly going to be bonking enemies with a hammer, getting Radiant on powered melee hits will add to our damage more. This stacks with Roaring Flames, allowing us to 2-tap yellow bar enemies. For this build, I focus on resilience, discipline, and strength, but if you want to put points into recovery, you can drop strength for longer hammer cooldowns. Strength isn't super important since we ideally want to be picking up our hammers after throwing them. However, there are times you may accidentally throw your hammer off the map and need to wait for it to recharge. Finally, I focus on resilience and discipline since the damage resistance and barricade uptime is nice, and having healing nades on demand is nice too. Here's the armor mod layout. For the helmet, I run a heavy ammo finder, hands-on for faster super cooldown when using any melee ability, and a harmonic siphon mod for orbs of powers and solar weapon kills. For the gauntlets, I run impact induction for the reduced grenade cooldown on melee hits, heavy-handed so melee final blows drop orbs of power, and harmonic loader just so I can reload my guns faster. Moving on to the chest, concussive dampener is always a staple for me, but otherwise you have your selection of resistances, reserves, charged up, or whatever you want on there. For the legs, I run 2 solar weapon surges and a recuperation mod. The solar surge mod is for our weapons. I generally run an SMG like Bug Out Bag or Callus Mini Tool with Incandescent, so having the extra damage is nice. Having the recuperation mod is nice as well, as there are cases where you're getting shot at while picking up an orb, and having that extra instant health is very helpful. Finally, for the class mod, I run 2 time dilations for the extra solar surge time, and a bomber mod for extra grenade energy on barricade placement. When I play Titan, this is the main build I run for solo content. Throwing our hammers mindlessly into ads and just destroying everything in your path is just fun, and this Titan build is the best flavor of orange crayon around, and I couldn't be more happy bathing in a sea of them. If you found this build video helpful, leave a like. If you have any improvements, let me know in the comments below. Also, share this with your friends. Have a good one.